Deep in the archives of Westminster Abbey lies one of the most tragic and carefully hidden stories in British royal history. The tale of a rightful king who ruled England for exactly 20 minutes, but never sat upon the throne, and whose existence was systematically erased to prevent a constitutional crisis that could have toppled the monarchy forever. Dr. Margaret Whitfield was a respected medieval historian specializing in mitogenealogy when she stumbled upon a discovery that would consume 5 years of her life and put her in direct conflict with the British establishment. While researching marriage records at Canterbury Cathedral in 2017, she found a document that shouldn't have existed, a marriage certificate dated July 15, 1543, recording the union between King Henry VIII and Lady Catherine Willoughby, witnessed by Thomas Cranmer, Archbishop of Canterbury. The problem was obvious to any historian familiar with Henry's 6 wives. In July 1543, Henry was married to Catherine Parr, his 6th and final wife. According to all official records, he had never married anyone named Catherine Willoughby. Yet here was an official church document bearing the royal seal and signed by witnesses whose authenticity Margaret could verify through other historical sources. Intrigued by this anomaly, Margaret began investigating Lady Catherine Willoughby's background. What she discovered was a woman who had been systematically deleted from history books. Despite playing a crucial role in Tudor court politics, Catherine was the daughter of William Willoughby, a powerful nobleman who had served as Henry's ambassador to France, and Lady Maria de Salinas, a Spanish aristocrat who had been Catherine of Aragon's closest friend and confidant. More importantly, Margaret found evidence that Catherine Willoughby had given birth to a son in March 1544, a child who would have been Henry VIII's legitimate heir and the rightful King of England. The boy was named Edward Henry Willoughby, and according to baptismal records Margaret discovered in a sealed section of St. Paul's Cathedral archives, he was acknowledged by Henry VIII as his true-born son and heir to the throne of England. Discovery sent shockwaves through Margaret's understanding of English history. If Henry had indeed married Catherine Willoughby while still married to Catherine Parr, it would mean that his marriage to Parr was bigamous and invalid. More crucially, it would mean that Edward VI, Henry's son by Jane Seymour, who officially succeeded him, was not the legitimate heir. The true king should have been Edward Henry Willoughby. Margaret's investigation led her to the British Royal Archives, where she requested access to confidential Tudor documents under academic research provisions. What she found there was a conspiracy of silence that had lasted nearly 500 years. Hidden among routine administrative papers was a collection of documents that told an incredible story of royal intrigue, murder, and cover-up. According to these secret papers, Henry VIII had indeed secretly married Catherine Willoughby in a private ceremony in July 1543. 3 months after his public marriage to Catherine Parr, the secret marriage was arranged by Thomas Cranmer. As part of a complex political alliance with Spanish nobles who opposed the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Henry needed Spanish support for his ongoing conflict with France, and the marriage to Catherine Willoughby, with her Spanish royal connections, provided the diplomatic leverage he required. The arrangement was supposed to remain secret until Henry could find grounds to annul his marriage to Catherine Parr, making Catherine Willoughby his official queen. However, Henry's death in January 1547 left the situation unresolved and created a constitutional nightmare for the Tudor court. Edward Henry Willoughby was nearly 3 years old when his father died, making him, technically, the rightful king of England. However, acknowledging his legitimacy would have required admitting that Henry's marriage to Catherine Parr was invalid, which would have created a diplomatic crisis with the Parr family's powerful allies. More importantly, it would have meant setting aside Edward VI, who had already been proclaimed king and had the support of the Protestant faction led by Edward Seymour. The solution, according to the documents Margaret found, was both simple and horrifying. On January 28, 1547, exactly 9 days after Henry VIII's death, young Edward Henry Willoughby was brought to Westminster Abbey for what was supposedly a private blessing ceremony. Contemporary accounts describe a brief ritual in which the 3-year-old boy was placed upon the throne and a crown was set upon his head, while Thomas Cranmer recited coronation prayers for exactly 20 minutes. Edward Henry Willoughby was the acknowledged king of England. Then, according to a witness account by one of Cranmer's assistants, the child began crying and reached for his mother. As Catherine Willoughby stepped forward to comfort her son, she was suddenly struck down by what appeared to be a seizure. She died within minutes, collapsing at the foot of the throne while her terrified son watched. What happened next was recorded in clinical detail by John Fox, the Protestant historian who was present as an official witness. The young king, traumatized by watching his mother die before his eyes, began screaming and could not be consoled. As courtiers struggled to calm the child, he suddenly went to limp in their arms. Within an hour, Edward Henry Willoughby was dead, apparently from shock and grief. 2 deaths in 1 day eliminated the constitutional crisis. Edward VI could continue as the undisputed king. Catherine Parr's position as Henry's widow remained secure, and the Spanish marriage alliance was buried along with its participants. Official records were altered to show that Catherine Willoughby had died of plague in 1546, while her son was recorded as having died in infancy from natural causes. But Margaret's investigation revealed that the deaths were far too convenient. to be natural. Chemical analysis of hair samples she obtained from the sealed tomb where Catherine and Edward Henry were buried showed traces of arsenic and mercury, poisons commonly used by Tudor assassins. The mother and son had been murdered to preserve political stability. The cover-up extended beyond mere record-keeping. Everyone present at the 20-minute coronation was sworn to secrecy under pain of death. Most of the witnesses died under suspicious circumstances within 2 years. Thomas Cranmer, who had performed both the secret marriage ceremony and the brief coronation, was later executed for treason under Queen Mary, taking the secret to his grave. Margaret's research revealed that knowledge of Edward Henry Willoughby's existence survived in whisper rumors for generations. Several 17th and 18th century historians made oblique references to the lost Tudor prince or the 20-minute king, but none dared publish the full story. Even today, official royal genealogies make no mention of Henry VIII's secret marriage or his murdered heir. The implications of Margaret's discovery extended far beyond historical curiosity. If Edward Henry Willoughby had lived and ruled, the entire course of English history would have changed. Elizabeth, I would never have become queen. The English Reformation might have taken a different path, and the royal succession would have followed completely different lines. More troubling for modern Britain, Margaret's genealogical research identified several living descendants of the Willoughby family who could theoretically claim to be the rightful heirs to the throne. While such claims would have no practical legal standing after 5 centuries, their existence represents a potential embarrassment to the current royal family and the constitutional basis of their authority. Margaret's attempts to publish her findings were met with unexpected resistance. Academic journals rejected her papers, citing insufficient peer review. Despite her impeccable reputation and extensive documentation, publishing houses that had previously been eager to work with her suddenly became unavailable. Most disturbing of all, Margaret began receiving anonymous warnings suggesting that her continued research into sensitive historical matters could have professional consequences. The breakthrough came when Margaret was contacted by James Morrison, a retired archivist who had spent 40 years working in the Royal Collection Trust. Morrison revealed that he had been instructed multiple times throughout his career to relocate or reclassify documents related to irregular Tudor successions and had long suspected that significant historical material was being deliberately suppressed. Together, Margaret and Morrison assembled a comprehensive case file documenting not only Edward Henry Willoughby's brief reign, but also the ongoing efforts to suppress knowledge of his existence. Their research revealed a pattern of historical manipulation, stretching from the Tudor era to the present day, involving the systematic removal of documents, the reclassification of public records, and the discouragement of scholarly research into sensitive areas of royal history. The most shocking discovery was that the British government maintains an active policy of historical suppression, with certain periods and individuals classified as matters of continuing constitutional sensitivity. Edward Henry Willoughby, the 20-minute king, tops this list of forbidden historical subjects. Today, the true story of England's shortest-reigning monarch remains officially denied. The tomb, where he lies buried with his mother, is unmarked and sealed. Located in a restricted area of Westminster Abbey that is never open to public tours. The documents proving his legitimacy remain classified under the Official Secrets Act, supposedly for reasons of national security. Margaret Whitfield continues her research, but she has been forced to be extremely careful about her methods and publications. Her academic career has suffered, and she has received multiple warnings about the legal consequences of publishing speculative historical theories based on disputed documents. The irony is unmistakable in a nation that prides itself on historical transparency and academic freedom. The story of a 3-year-old boy who briefly wore the crown remains too dangerous to tell. Edward Henry Willoughby ruled England for 20 minutes in 1547, but his memory has been imprisoned for nearly 5 centuries. If this incredible story of Britain's hidden king fascinates you, please like this video to help preserve this suppressed royal history. Subscribe for more investigations into the royal secrets and government cover-ups that official historians won't discuss. Comment and tell me, do you think the Tudor court was justified in eliminating a 3-year-old king to prevent constitutional chaos? Or was this one of history's most heinous political murders? Should the British government finally acknowledge Edward Henry Willoughby's brief reign? Let me know which royal mystery you'd like me to investigate next. The disappeared princes in the Tower. The secret children of Elizabeth I. The real identity of the man in the iron mask, or the hidden bloodline of the Stuart pretenders. Subscribe, hit notifications, and share with anyone interested in the royal secrets they don't want you to discover. See you next time as we uncover more of the incredible royal conspiracies and historical cover-ups that powerful institutions have tried to bury forever. Remember, the most important rulers are often the ones they want you to forget.